Solo travel for women. Destinations in Africa for fearless, fierce females. There is a story, one almost lost to the winds of history, of a woman who traveled solo through some of South Africa's most unforgiving terrain. Her name was Sarah Heckford. She was a Victorian lady, born in 1839, disabled, and tightly bound by the expectations of both the era she was born into and the upper-class society she was part of. Widowed and sheltered by her English upbringing, she arrived in what is now Mpumalanga, South Africa, in 1987, and worked as a governess and a farmer before becoming a transport rider and one of the bravest women to travel this corner of the country. She traded with hunters and miners. She survived malaria carrying mosquitoes and hid beneath her ox wagon whenever a terrible storm was raging. And along the routes she traveled, she explored uncharted land. You could say that she was South Africa's first solo female traveler. And while life back then was a lot more dangerous and unpredictable, these days women travelers going solo can look forward to luxury lodges, private game drives, indulgent wine tours, spa treatments, hikes, and so much more, all of which come without the fear of being eaten by a lion. Solo travel for women, how to decide on a destination. On just about all the travel groups on Facebook and the subforums of Reddit, when the topic of solo travel for women comes up, the first question asked is, what is the safest destination for solo female travelers? The big names mentioned time and again are countries like Iceland, Ireland, Canada, Fiji, New Zealand, and Japan. These are all great places to visit, but for some travelers, these destinations have a few drawbacks. For starters, since they are countries that usually come up first, if you are already someone who has traveled a lot, you might have ticked these off already. And then there's the fact that many of these destinations are over-marketed, usually crowded, and in a way incapable of giving you an experience that only a handful of people have had. Africa, on the other hand, is a bit of a wild card, which is exactly what makes it just the place for solo travel for women, especially those who yearn for something beyond the conventional adventure. eSwatini. It is the landlocked nation that is surrounded by South Africa and Mozambique, and with the Kruger National Park just 2 or so hours drive to the west and the beaches of Ponta do Ouro just a couple of hours to the east, it's a great place to base yourself for a multinational vacation. For solo travel for women, eSwatini, which you might know by its former name, Swaziland, is safe for pretty much any kind of solo activities, including hiking, game drives, and cultural experiences. The people of eSwatini are usually very welcoming and happy to chat, often grateful that you've chosen their tiny country, which is best known for its stunning mountains and for being the cultural home of the Swazi people, as your holiday spot. Must-visit places in eSwatini for solo travel for women: Plain Royal National Park, Malawane Wildlife Sanctuary, Ezulwini Valley, Baban, Sibaby Rock, South Africa. Some places in South Africa are better than others when you are a woman traveling completely on your own, and all places are fine to travel to if you are a solo traveler, but you intend to book a guided tour. South Africa is underrated in so many ways. The country is best known for its wildlife destinations, such as the Kruger, but other places don't get nearly enough attention. Places like Coffee Bay, the Garden Route, the Cedarburg, the Drakensberg, and the Kalahari. Many of these spots are quiet, soulful destinations that a solo traveler can spend plenty of time enjoying. And each of these spots is also more than capable of giving a traveler a multitude of things to do. One of the greatest benefits of traveling in South Africa is that it is easily accessible, has many luxury lodges, is home to some of the best restaurants, and has all of the amenities that will allow you to feel secure while also treating you to an authentic African experience. Must-visit places in South Africa for solo travel for women: Cape Town, Coffee Bay, Mossel Bay, Sabi Sands, Karoo, Namibia. If you yearn for wide-open spaces, very few tourists, desert breezes, and ancient landforms, this is the country to visit. Namibia is slowly creeping onto bucket lists and best-of travel lists, So if you are looking for the best place to travel on your own and you like what Namibia has to offer, it is a good idea to book a tour sooner rather than later, before it explodes in popularity. Namibia has far-flung destinations, which makes guided tours the usual go-to option. But if you are unconcerned about being behind the wheel, you can always hire a 4x4 and take to the well-maintained roads yourself. That said, Namibia has an extremely small population, and just about everything worth seeing is remote, so you need to be well prepared and have a plan should things go pear-shaped. Must-visit places in Namibia for solo travel for women: Sossusvlei, Swakopmund, Quiver Tree Forest, Sarah Kafema, Puros, Tanzania. Home to Kilimanjaro, the great wildebeest migration, and dreamy Zanzibar, Tanzania is perfect for solo women travelers. B from the B Adventurous Travel blog said that while traveling through Tanzania, she was treated like a guest rather than like a target. In her blog, she talks about walking alone, taking long bus rides, and exploring towns and villages all without feeling scrutinized. Tanzania has a couple of women-focused tours, including walking tours and guided hikes up Kilimanjaro, which are led by female guides, and various other initiatives that women can get involved in. And Tanzania is home to Zanzibar, one of the most iconic luxury destinations for a beach holiday. Must-visit places in Tanzania for solo travel for women: Zanzibar Island, Ngorongoro Crater, the Serengeti, Arusha and Moshi, the Udzungwa Mountains and Forest Reserve. Botswana. Botswana has long been one of Africa's darling conservation First Nations. The population of citizens live mostly in one corner of the country, in and around the capital of Gaborone, which sits close to the South African border, and the rest of the land is left for the wildlife. For first-time safari-goers, returning travelers, and solo women travelers, Botswana is the ultimate destination for an authentic African safari. The country has next to no corruption, which means the money is spent on creating and maintaining world-class infrastructure, which includes safe roads, great public health care, and security, making the country very safe to travel through alone. English is spoken throughout, and the people are friendly and fiercely protective of the wildlife and the travelers who come to enjoy it. For solo women travelers, you'll find few places online that offer group tours just for the girls. It's a great way to make new friends while also getting to see the best of this astoundingly beautiful place. Must-visit places in Botswana for solo travel for women: Okavango Delta, Chobe National Park, Makgadikgadi Pans in Kubu Island, Tule Game Reserve, Central Kalahari Game Reserve. The preconceptions of solo travel for women in Africa. We can't just skim over the fact that Africa is not always spoken of in the most glowing terms. On many blogs and guides, Africa is still treated as a dark continent, a place of unknowns and dangers. It is also often spoken of as a place that is not worth the time because many countries here are still a little rough and rugged. Africa is also subjected to a couple of stereotypes. You'll often hear that Africa is far too hot and humid to travel to, but did you know that the Cape of South Africa has the most incredible Mediterranean-type climate, or that Lesotho is just the place for a ski holiday? You'll hear that Africa has dangerous wildlife walking through the streets, and yet I have only once in my life heard of a lion on the loose in my town, and I so badly wanted to see it. And you'll also hear that the water is unsafe to drink, mostly untrue depending on where you are traveling. You'll be told that you'll be robbed, also not true depending on circumstances. Or you'll be told there are no roads. We have fairly good infrastructure in most places, and those areas that are a little under the weather make for a good old-fashioned adventure. For solo travel for women, with some proper research and planning and booking with the best travel agencies, it can be one of the best experiences you could ever have. Tips for solo female travelers. Visiting Africa. Solo travel for women is so much more than a holiday. It can, for many, be an awakening, an experience that shows you that you are far more capable and far more independent than you perhaps thought you were. Solo travel pushes personal boundaries, and it can force you to grow in the best kind of way in all new directions. Traveling in Africa has a habit of doing that too. To make the most of your solo trip, you can keep these few tips in mind. Be open to the new experiences that come your way. Africa is probably going to give you a culture shock, but in a good way. Trust your gut. We women are blessed with powerful intuitions, and if you trust yours when it is talking to you, you'll be safe. Don't be shy. Africans are amongst the friendliest people in the world. When you are at your lodge, visiting an attraction or dining in a restaurant, you'll find people are chatty, and they might suggest visiting places that only locals know about. Only book with reputable travel agencies, guides, and accommodation. Only use reputable transport, especially if you are traveling at night. Don't skim on your research and planning. Visit sites like Short Girl on Tour, Be Adventurous, and similar solo women travel blogs to get firsthand experiences. When in busy places, keep a low profile. Wearing flashy jewelry or leaving your camera around your neck screams tourist, and you don't want that. Stay connected by getting a SIM card sorted out and by having an emergency contact in the country. Traveling solo doesn't mean you can't still travel with the help of an agency. Having someone you can call for assistance, should you need it, is vital. Be aware of your surroundings. Watch who comes close to you and try to keep an eye out for what is going on around you. Don't hike alone. Always try to find a group. Solo travel in Africa is one of the most life-changing things a woman can do for herself. If this guide has sparked something inside of you, a wanderlust that just won't keep quiet, perhaps it is time you acted on those feelings.